A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Naik. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Bilateral talks between the Sri Lankan and Japanese Prime Ministers. 5 kilograms of heroin seized at the Katunayake airport. 4 suspects arrested. Stretch of the Southern Expressway closed again due to landslide risk. Education authorities in Anuradhapura misuse funds for school lunch program.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe met with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in Kyoto, Japan today. Newsfirst Shahindra reports.
The meeting was held at the Kyoto International Conference Center on the sidelines of the Science and Technology in Society Forum 2015. Premier Shinzo Abe, who accorded a warm welcome to the Sri Lankan Premier upon commencing the discussion, recalled the instance when his father, a former Prime Minister himself, made a visit to Sri Lanka in 1952 during his tenure as Prime Minister. Subsequent to the discussions, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe attended the Science and Technology in Society Forum 2015, which was held at the Kyoto International Conference Center. The forum was attended by delegations of over 30 countries, including Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and the Deputy Prime Ministers of Russia and France. The forum's main focus was new innovations in science and technology.
Japan has a mission to address both the safety and the utility of cars through the technologies it commands. It is here that the self-driving car technology being developed by many Japanese car makers holds the key. And yet, few companies appeared willing to do trial runs on public roads. So I volunteered to be the first to run a self-driving car on public road. Future history books will have a special place for me as a result, and that makes me happy. Because I can tell you that in 2020 Tokyo, self-driving cars will be running around and you will be able to use them to move around.
Today, East Asia is fast becoming the engine that is driving global economic growth. Innovation has been the key to growth, leading to rapid improvements of living standards. Yet, the benefits of science and technology have not reached all parts of Asia. Sri Lanka and the South Asian region in particular lags behind East Asia in the fields of science and technology. It is important that we not only nurture hope in our fractured people, but we also bring to them the benefits of development. Because we realize that advancement in science and technology is imperative for society, we wish to lay the infrastructural and institutional foundations upon which our people can realize their creative potential over the next 60 months. To realize this, I believe that dynamic regional growth with international engagement is the way forward. We are planning to establish a dynamic, globally linked megapolis region. Therefore, focusing on science and technology development, we are looking to introduce the concept of technology-driven megapolis and the technology test-bed regions. A science and technology partnership with Japan would be critical to make this concept a reality.
Thereafter, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe participated in a special welcoming ceremony held at the Kyoto State Guest House. The Premier was welcomed by a group including the Governor of the Kyoto Prefecture, Keiji Yamada, with a traditional tea ceremony. Thereafter, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe participated in a brief ceremony hosted by a group including Governor Yamada. Speaking at the ceremony, Governor Keiji Yamada said that the city of Kyoto and Nuwara Eliya share many similarities. In response, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe extended an invitation to a delegation of Kyoto to visit Nuwara Eliya and inspect the production of tea there. The Prime Minister also requested technological assistance from Kyoto on how tea which meets the standards of Japan could be exported to the country. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe thereafter visited the Kyoto Imperial Palace. The palace was established at the current site upon Emperor Kogon's accession to the throne in 1331. By that time, the city of Kyoto, which was founded in 794, had already been acknowledged as the capital of Japan until 1869. Drawing day one of his visit to a close, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe travelled to the country's current capital, Tokyo. The fact that Prime Minister Wickremesinghe arrived in Tokyo aboard the Shinkansen bullet train, which is considered to be one of the fastest and safest trains in the world, is of much significance. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe is being accompanied by a delegation which includes Minister Susil Premajayantha and Secretary to the Prime Minister, Saman Ekanaika.
With day one of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's visit here in Japan coming to a close, tomorrow he is expecting to hold discussions with key government officials of Japan, including the Minister of Finance, Foreign Minister of Japan, as well as the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Internal Affairs and Communications. And later on, is expected to hold discussions with the Sri Lankan expatriate. Now, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe is also due to address the Parliament of Japan, which is incidentally only the third time a foreign leader is addressing Parliament after US President Barack Obama and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We'll keep a close watch on Prime Minister's visit here in Japan. For the News First team, I'm Chandrama reporting from Tokyo, Japan.
Taking a look at a developing story tonight, authorities at the international airport in Katunayake have seized a stock of heroin worth 50 million rupees as it was being smuggled into the country. The customs media spokesperson noted that 4 persons have been arrested.
The 5-kilogram stash of heroin had been packaged to resemble spices. Customs noted that the suspects carrying the drugs had reached Colombo at about 5:05 this morning aboard Sri Lankan Airlines flight UL126 from Chennai. The suspects are residents of Killapane and Grand Pass. Among the suspects are a 60-year-old woman and her 30-year-old daughter. Customs media spokesperson Leslie Garmini noted that this was the largest haul of heroin seized this year.
At the moment, we have arrested 4, 3 ladies and 1 male. Two ladies, mother and daughter, they had this heroin. Now, customs staff at airport are investigating into this matter, and we, after the customs investigation, we hope to hand over these suspects and the heroin to the Police Narcotic Bureau for further investigation.
Now, speaking at a meeting held today, MP Chatura Senaratne questioned how there is no proof regarding recent ethanol and drug smuggling rackets.
When those accused of smuggling drugs and ethanol are given ministerial positions, the Attorney General's Department informs the police that charges cannot be brought against them and that it has been proven. Even if it is proven, there are no charges. There is evidence regarding the containers of drugs and ethanol that were smuggled in. All of Sri Lanka knows this and knows who was involved. Therefore, I declare my total opposition to the granting of positions to these individuals. It is because I am not prepared to sit with these people that I have commenced the next struggle, to empower the civil movement and take the country on a new path.
The Sunday Times reported today that the Finance Ministry has taken steps to prevent local agencies from taking action over funds deposited abroad by VIPs of the former government being remitted to Sri Lanka.
The report notes the departments and agencies, including the Inland Revenue Department, the Exchange Control Department and the Central Bank, would be prevented from taking action when these funds are remitted. The newspaper also reported that a further elaboration is to come when the government's first budget is presented on the 20th of November, where the categories of people who would benefit from what would in reality be an amnesty would be detailed. However, the report questions the legality of the announcement. Speaking to News First, the Voice Against Corruption movement questioned what would happen to those who stole money from the nation through such an action.
The people who voted to send home the Rajapaksa regime and the former government voted against such thievery, fraud and corruption. This government promised the people that investigations would be held, the corrupt would be punished and that the funds would be taken over by the state. This hybrid government is now trying to give the thieves a license. The thieves will be whitewashed. They say that there will be no cases against the entities that arbitrarily looted public funds, and they are trying to whitewash these people via the Attorney General's Department. The Finance Ministry is granting a license for money laundering through this action. Reveal the number of cases filed against the corrupt. There is nothing. Against such a backdrop, the Finance Ministry has taken this decision to ensure the remittance of these funds. We ask if President Maithripala Sirisena has agreed to this decision. Has this government agreed to this decision?
Speaking at an event held in Trincomalee today, Democratic Party leader Field Marshal Sarath Fonseka commented on parliamentarians.
Of the 225 in Parliament, 190 are inefficient, 190 are thieves, 190 are corrupt. If you look at these personalities individually, then you will see that only 10 or 15 of them care about the country. There are no people there who care about the country. We need to change this no matter how difficult it is.
Newsfirst received a report today of a woman in Polonnaruwa who gave birth to her third child inside an ambulance. How did this event transpire?
A mother of two from the Daha-Tamara area in Min area was brought to the Hinguragoda District Hospital at about 1 a.m. on the 26th of September. She was experiencing labour pains.
The doctor attached to the Hinguragoda hospital asked me why I came to the Hinguragoda hospital. They asked me why I didn't go to the Polonnaruwa hospital. Thereafter, they rushed her to the Polonnaruwa hospital.
While an ambulance from the Hinguragoda hospital was transporting the mother to the Polonnaruwa hospital, the baby had to be delivered near the Jampatipura junction as childbirth could not be delayed any longer. Incidentally, the baby was delivered under light provided by the headlights of a van that was travelling from Bilateral.
They asked me why I came here. They said that this hospital lacks facilities. Thereafter, they sent me in an ambulance and I gave birth to the infant on the way to the hospital. The baby sustained minor injuries when attempting to cut the umbilical cord.
The mother and baby were later admitted to the Polonnaruwa hospital.
The baby is very healthy. There was a cut near the baby's genitals during childbirth, but the child is now totally healthy.
Newsfirst made inquiries from the MOH in Hinguragoda regarding the incident.
Are you aware of this incident?
No, I am not, but it is normal for patients with difficulties to be transferred to the Polonnaruwa hospital. But I have not been informed of such an incident.
Does the Hinguragoda hospital not have the facilities for childbirth?
The doctor who was on night duty would have examined the patient and made a decision. Usually there is only one doctor at night. In such an instance, maybe the doctor examined her and decided whether she needed to be transferred.
There was no light in the ambulance. A vehicle was stopped, the back doors were opened and the light was used to deliver the child. This is what is being reported.
I am not aware of this. I only found out when you called me.
We report this story hoping it will catch the attention of the Health Minister so such incidents can be prevented in the future.
The Inspector General of Police has ordered an inquiry into complaints filed by the families of the two acquitted suspects in the murder of Seya Sadewni in Kotateniyawa. The IGP has ordered that an interim report be furnished on the 7th of this month. Police headquarters noted that Deputy Inspector General of Police LP Kularatna has commenced an inquiry into the complaints.
The communique issued by police headquarters notes that an inquiry will be conducted into whether there was sufficient evidence to justify the arrest and subsequent remanding of one of the suspects, an underage schoolboy. Inquiries are also being conducted into allegations that both suspects were assaulted while in police custody. The families of the two acquitted suspects had lodged a complaint with police headquarters on Friday. Following the complaints, the IGP had ordered the DIG of police in charge of the Western Province, Pujit Jayasundara, to immediately conduct inquiries.
President Maithripala Sirisena engaged in religious observances at the Bilateral Sugatananda Arama Historic Temple today. The President, who arrived at the historic Bilateral Sugatananda Arama Temple, which is located in his birthplace, obtained blessings subsequent to religious observances. The President thereafter met with the Chief Prelate of the temple, Venerable Yakaduwa Rahulathera, and inquired into his well-being. Also in local news, at a media briefing held today, the Janata Vimukti Perubna attributed the serious decisions taken at the Human Rights Council in Geneva with regard to Sri Lanka to the failings of the former regime.
මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ මෙතරම් බරපතල තැනට ගෙනාවේ කවුද? ඒ වෙන කවුරක්වත් නෙවෙයි. පහුගිය කාලේ මෙරට පාලනය කරපු මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ පාලනය.
Who was it that made this problem as serious as it is? It was none other than Mahinda Rajapaksa, who governed this country until recently. Human rights were violated during Mahinda Rajapaksa's regime, and we are now all aware of that. Without stopping there, they tried to use this problem for political benefit. You may remember that at every election that was held, Mahinda Rajapaksa's slogan was, "Vote for us and send a message to the international community." He asked for the vote to save him from the electric chair. He interfered in the judiciary and gave the international community an opportunity to state that an inquiry on Sri Lanka conducted in Sri Lanka would not be credible. It was the Mahinda Rajapaksa regime, in which Veeravansa was also a minister, that opened the doors for such intervention by violating human rights and destroying the independence of the judiciary. When the decision to appoint the Darusman Committee was made, we all saw the manner in which Sri Lanka's permanent representative at the Human Rights Council was hosting parties and luncheons with Darusman. While they were partying with Darusman, the government representative here commenced a fast unto death campaign. The people who ran today carried out fasts unto death for 2 days. In the end, he did not die, and neither did the Darusman Committee stop its work. Journalists posed questions on whether the JVP would support the all-party meeting proposed by the President. We do not know what kind of all-party discussion it will be. We have not been briefed on this. We do not know the length and width of it. We have no grasp on the content of this discussion. We can only respond when we know what they are trying to do, with what intentions, what the scope of the discussions will be, and what the power vested will be.
The section of the Southern Expressway from Imaduwa to Kokmaduwa was closed once again today. The Road Development Authority notes that this section of the expressway is always closed in the event of rain due to the risk of landslides. A risk of landslide on the hill adjacent to the Imaduwa-Kokmaduwa stretch of the Southern Expressway arose on the 1st of October. This section of the expressway has been closed on several instances since and was closed twice between last night and this afternoon. The Road Development Authority noted that future reconstruction of the road would be undertaken following the observations and instructions of the Landslide Research and Risk Management Unit.
Heavy rainfall, I think, time to time, this instability was increased. Because of that, now we have instructed to Road Development Authority to close the road permanently till we complete the investigations and apply the necessary mitigation measures. In that site, I think we can notice there are large amount of tension cracks were open in the top part of the slope cut, and same time there are about lot of water stagnated in that area. I think we have already instructed to RDA to remove this stagnated water immediately, and same time we have to get some action to remove the subsurface water.
Meanwhile, residents say this situation has arisen due to improper water management. There was a spring on that land which would never dry up even during drought. What we can say is that those who diverted the spring did not do a proper job. I do not recall such a situation in this hill in the past 30 to 40 years. This has happened after the expressway was built. Area residents say their lives too are in danger given the situation.
They asked us to evacuate at 1 a.m. recently. We do not know if the hill will cave in. There are a lot of rocks at the peak and we are fearful.
We have proposed to install a early warning system, I think, in the both side of the road. When the landslide, if the landslide moves, I think we want to get a signal to the sirens or the lighting system. I think tomorrow we will do that one also. However, with the rainfall received last night also, I think we could see some movement in that area. I think it is about 15 feet depression in the top part of the slope area. I think when this road was constructed through the lower part of the hill region and make the slope into angles, and apply some drainage control work. However, with the heavy rainfall, those things are failed now. It is very dangerous to open the road for traffic.
The Southern Expressway was built at a cost of approximately $741.1 million. You're with News First, and up next is a look at Action TV.
As per the circular issued regarding the free lunch program at schools, the responsibility of calling for tenders for a period of 1 year and informing the suppliers should be undertaken at the zonal level. This must be done within the first quarter of the year. The supplier's contract is valid for 9 months. For this year, there are less than 2 months left for the expiration of supplier contracts. Against this backdrop, in the Anuradhapura zone, the task of informing suppliers was allotted yesterday. Thereby, over the past 7 months, suppliers have been providing food for the free lunch program without the necessary knowledge or understanding in line with the circular. Since the suppliers could change when tenders are called for next year, conducting the awareness program yesterday for the current suppliers with less than 2 months left on the contract was not a fruitful exercise. These suppliers, who are some of the beneficiaries, are facing a far more serious hardship at present than the lack of an awareness program. This is because the Anuradhapura Zonal Education Office has failed to make the payments due to the suppliers for the last 2 months. The Zonal Education Office, which claims it does not have the funds to make these payments, conducted yesterday's awareness program under a budget of more than 200,000 rupees. While the circular states that the Director of Physical and Health Education at the Zonal Education Office should take the lead in all matters related to the free lunch program, in the Anuradhapura zone it is this official, who is the Director of Primary Education, that handles all matters related to the free lunch program in violation of procedure. Incidentally, his wife is the Zonal Education Director. The Zonal Education Director, who should function as a resource person at such awareness programs, and the Additional Director of Zonal Education Development did not participate in yesterday's program. While there are 5 schools in the Anuradhapura zone with auditoriums that have the facilities for such programs, this hall with less facilities was booked for the program using the daily allocation of 22 rupees and 50 cents per student for the free lunch program. None of the other zonal officers in the North Central province, which conducted the awareness programs punctually, spent even half as much as the amount that was spent by the Anuradhapura Zonal Education Office for this delayed program. Given that none of the auditoriums at the schools in the Anuradhapura zone were booked yesterday, can one condone the Zonal Education Director's decision to waste public funds in booking a private hall? When a principal, who is the Director of Primary Education, overlooks the free lunch program by virtue of being the Zonal Education Director's husband, while there exists a qualified Director of Physical and Health Education, does it not portray the scant regard for widespread malnutrition among school children in Anuradhapura? Secretary of the North Central Province Ministry of Education, over to you.
The final rites for veteran producer Harold Vijay Singh are to be observed tomorrow at the public cemetery in Bilateral. Harold Vijay Singh was 53 years of age at the time of his passing.
A well-known personality in the media industry and a producer held in high esteem by his colleagues, Harold Vijay Singh succumbed to a long-standing illness at his residence in Colombo at dawn yesterday. Family and colleagues were among those who paid their last respects to Harold Vijay Singh at the private funeral parlour in Colombo today. Born on the 21st of January 1962, Harold Vijay Singh was an old boy of Royal College, Colombo. The final rites are to be observed at the public cemetery in Bilateral at 5 p.m. tomorrow.
Sri Lanka has moved up 5 positions to rank 68th in a global index of the world's most competitive economies for the year 2015-2016. Switzerland topped the table for the 7th consecutive year. The Global Competitiveness Report 2015-2016 assesses the competitiveness of 140 world economies. According to the Global Competitiveness Report of 2014-15, Sri Lanka secured 73rd position out of 144 countries. Emerging and developing Asia has been the world's fastest growing region since 2005 and looks set to retain this status in the medium term. The report stated the region now accounts for some 30% of global GDP, with China alone accounting for 16%. In South Asia, India leads the way at 55th, followed by Sri Lanka at 68th, Nepal at 100th, Bhutan at 105th, Bangladesh at 107th, and Pakistan at 126th. The weekend newspapers, the Sunday Leader and Erudina, were relaunched with a facelift today.
Programs were held in several areas today to inform the reading public on the changes to the newspapers, including at the Central Market in Kandy and the Botanical Gardens in Peradeniya. The newspapers were distributed among the public free of charge with the new supplement Senkadakala.
The main aim of this promotional program is to reintroduce the new look and feel of the newspapers, Sunday Leader and Erudina, as well as to reintroduce the investigative journalism that was introduced to the Sri Lankan media by our founding editor, Lasantha Wickramatunga, who was murdered in 2009. Following his murder, the investigative journalism of in Sri Lanka came to face many issues actually, but now we at the Sunday Leader and Erudina have decided that we need to continue with what Lasantha started, regardless of what the situation is in the country. So now we are back, unbowed and unafraid, and that is what the message we want to take to the people through our Senkadagala program. And we will continue with this program in several other key cities in the island as well in the next few months.
Kenya's Anthony Mungo won the men's full marathon at the 15th Colombo Marathon, which was held today with the participation of over 6,000 runners under various categories. National champion Anuradhi Bogahavatta won the women's full marathon.
The 15th Colombo Marathon started off at 6 a.m. today in the vicinity of the BMICH in Colombo. In addition to the full marathon, the event featured a half marathon, 5 and 10 kilometer fun runs and a veterans category for the full and half marathons. The full marathon ended at Beach Park in Negombo, where Kenya's Anthony Mugo cruised into victory with a time of 2 hours, 23 minutes and 17 seconds. Anuradhi Bogahavatta won the women's full marathon with a time of 3 hours, 2 minutes and 38 seconds.
With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.